Stoners Podcast. I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Glow.
I'm Kyle. And we're the fucking Morning Throners.
Welcome back to your favorite Game of Thrones podcast. We're the Morning Throners. We're talking Dany 8. Some shit goes on here, fellas. What are we thinking?
Big one. What do you think, Kyle?
Some heavy hitters.
I mean, I wasn't ready for all the magic stuff, I guess. That's kind of where I'm at.
I was saying to Globe before we started recording that this was the most fantasy chapter besides maybe the first one. The only fantasy chapter besides maybe the first one, the whole book.
Yeah, for sure.
It's what chapter? It's chapter 60 something, 64.
Yeah, I mean,
and you said at the beginning that you were a bigger fan of fantasy, and you thought that might be a reason that you weren't into Game of Thrones as much because you knew it wasn't like as high fantasy or whatever you call it, right?
Yeah.
So I thought you would like this one. I thought you'd be like, finally, here we go. Let's get some magic going. But you're saying you didn't like the magic?
Because
Kyle wasn't ready for it. He didn't like it, man.
Made it like you just said, we went through this whole entire book and we didn't
Not
hit
just
any
normal
of this
magic,
shit.
Kyle.
And now we finally magic. Like there's some lady that come over. So is it rare? Like it better be rare through the rest of the books. How about that? If this sets a precedent that if it took, what is this, 5/6 of a book to finally introduce one character with some powers like this or some knowledge like this, it better be kind of rare. But I'm sure I'm gonna be wrong. Anyway, we don't have to. You guys can talk about that later. Yeah.
We're good. So, but just besides that, there's also a lot of fighting in this chapter.
Yeah,
a lot of people die here towards the end. A lot of people that you guys probably don't know because the names are hard to remember. But
that's kind of that's part of
that's
it.
The worst part of this chapter is you don't know who the fuck is who.
Jago and Ugoth and
Aggo, Koro.
Yeah.
Like,
come on, man.
You don't know who the fuck
Koro's fucking Kyle's Blood Rider.
Yeah.
I get it, but like at one point,
that's Kotho. Koro is Dany's Ka. Koro is the one that Kotho kills.
Right, exactly, Glow. Shut the fuck up.
Fuck.
I could have just said like Fago and Tago, and you'd be like, "Oh no, that was Dany's Blood Rider."
So when I was reading it, I was like looking back, like, wait, who's now? Like, oh, okay, that's the Blood Rider. Oh, that's one of Dany's protectors.
Don't worry, viewers. Don't worry, Jeff. Don't worry, Glow. Don't worry, Kyle. That's what the podcast's for. So we're gonna go through it, and we'll get it all straightened out by the end of it.
It's just the bullshit. Come on, George. Give him a little bit of different name. Drago, Jogo, Koro.
And so here's the other part of this. Like,
grow up.
He didn't really make me care about any of these people just yet. Like, so like I didn't really care that all these people were dying. Did you?
Well, when I tell you what some of these people did, if you like, again, it's hard to put those connections in because they're just kind of like goobly blop names. But like,
I
remember
Koro in the chapters before. He was the one that was pissed when she sent her off the first time, right? So some of the people who were being pissed are the same people who were being pissed. Yeah, and I mean, I remember that,
right?
Yeah, because she's a sheep walker or whatever, like she's below them, and she's a witch that steals your soul.
A lot of these people are the people who were like saving the people who were being raped too. So like the people in Dany's cause, so like there's 4 guys who are like sworn to Dany. They're pretty cool, and they've been like doing all the nice shit that Dany's been telling other people to do. And like some of those guys, Koro, one of them,
I cared
dying.
more about what's his name's son? No. The sons that died last chapter. I can't think now.
Karstark's sons?
Yeah, the Karstark's kids than I cared about any of these people.
Yeah, but you didn't really have any connection to them. Why would you care about them?
I don't know.
And again, I think it's the goopity glop names and the fact that Dany just has like her story is just completely separate, right?
Yeah,
like those sons are part of the story. Yeah. These guys are part of Dany's story.
Yeah, and that exactly.
So we get them. Yeah,
it's because they're on the good side.
Have taken a year to read this book, so
over a year.
All right, so where do we start out, Kyle?
Well, we start out in the middle of nowhere, big vast desert. Dany riding with Drago, flies.
Who's in front of who? Because it's a big important note in Nelson's notes.
They're all in front. Like those two are in front.
Oh yeah,
of
they're way in
front
of the rest of the army. Yeah. Usually he's fucking these flies up. Not today. Today these flies are eating his face, And then
they're all over him. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
At this point, hold on, I haven't.
He's like woozy, and it's been like days of him screaming in his sleep and shit. She knew he's fucked up. Yeah.
And today, like she said, he becomes silent too.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's not even talking.
Yeah.
All right, I want to say something about the flies before we gloss over it. Do we think like how Danny describes him just picking them out of thin air is an exaggeration, or he's actually that athletic that he's just fucking pulling flies like Mr. Miyagi?
Like flies, which are pretty big and slow. Like I think he's grabbing these.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's able to grab them.
And he's lived here with these things all the time. Like
these could be Game of Thrones flies, so they might be very fast. She made it a big deal. She made it a really big deal that he could just kind of pick them out of the air.
I think it's just like normally.
It's impressive to a 14-year-old. It's impressive to a 14-year-old girl to pick flies out of the air, no matter who you are.
Well, I mean, he's been riding these horses his whole life. Like, I'm sure they've been around. I'm sure he's had plenty of practice, like dealing with these things. Like I said, they're probably big and fat, like bumblebee, horsefly.
I remember when I played middle school football, my coach used to pull flies out of the air all the time. And that like sticks in my head that he used to do that. And now I can do that, right? But when I was a kid, maybe I just never thought of it. Like if a fly came to your
if I gave you a fly, you wouldn't catch it till like your 80th
If you gave me a fly and one chopstick.
Maybe one fly.
If you gave me a fly and one chopstick, I could catch that thing.
And I freaked out.
I'll bet you $1,000. You're the worst athlete I've ever seen. There's no way you can do that.
So anyway, these flies are chomping on him, feasting, and he don't even care.
And finally, she notices one land on him, and that's what like kind of makes her.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
right?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. He doesn't even care, and then he falls over, right? Just keels over, falls off the horse,
and she's like, "Oh shit!"
It's kind of crazy that Drogo's out of this. We just brought up that he falls off, right? And obviously that's a big deal. And even in like his absence of mind and fever and whatever, he knows he needs to get back up on his horse. He just has no ability to do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I pointed out. Like, it's obvious that it's important. And I didn't realize how obvious it would become the rest of the chapter, right? But like, even like everyone knows about it. Like, even when Jorah shows up,
they bring it up like 4 times, right?
Yeah, and the first thing Jorah, like, this first thing the handmaids say, it's the first thing Jorah says. So like, yeah.
It's kind of weird that with how serious of a thing it is that they didn't just bail. Like, why didn't someone just say like, all right, fuck it, I'm taking over, and they start leaving?
Because I don't know. Again, like their culture's weird. Like, how does that work, right? Like they
didn't leave until the very end, but like
people definitely
right when he fell. Like, why didn't someone just go up and stab him? And I mean, I get it. People are trailing behind, right? They kind of hit it and whatnot. But you would think.
So the first off is you have the three like second, third, and fourth theoretically most strong and badass people in the Khalazar had their life sworn to this guy.
Yeah.
So if you do that, you're gonna get fucked up by those three, the Blood Riders.
Right. Well, yeah. So
and they can't do that because like they just like super against their.
Well, they never be respected.
I'm saying you can say like 8 guys, like, and maybe 8 isn't enough to take on these 3 guys. You can find a group of guys who are like, fuck it, like, let's be the Khal.
So basically, I don't know. Later on, Jorah tells Dany that, like, hey, when Drogo dies, shit's going to go down. You're saying, why does that not happen?
Why did they wait for him to die? Like, he already fell off his horse. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Just they respect.
They have a little bit of respect.
And not others.
I think sometimes it takes some time naturally for those plans to kind of start happening too. Like, that's not something that's just instant. Like, first off, I don't think anybody really saw it coming. I'm assuming they hit it pretty well in the weeks prior. I mean, they probably knew somewhat that he was not.
So I think this has only been how long?
Or 3 days. Days prior.
I think it's been like a little bit over a week, right?
Yeah. I didn't mean
days. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like they probably have been, right? This probably has. I mean, Dany says that he's been in pretty rough shape for at least a few days.
But it's probably been hidden, like I said, as best as it could be.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. In the last, like, the day or two before this, he was probably showing pretty obviously that he was not doing so hot.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's kind of part of it's their culture thing, so you're not going to have an explanation. But, like, just to, like, fall off your horse once means you're no longer the Khal.
Well, I mean, Drogo's saying, like, right there on the ground, he's saying, like, I need to ride. No, I need to ride. Like, I think if he would have hopped right up and, like, got back up, no one would have given a fuck.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like, if he stumbled and fell off. But they're, like, when they're saying he fell off his horse, they're mean, like, this guy literally could not ride right now if he wanted to, and that's a fucking problem for us because of who we are. I think is kind of where they're at.
Right.
So Dany basically, all the Blood Riders come up. So who's the Blood Riders? Glow.
Hago, Kotho, and Kaholo.
Yeah, Kotho, sure.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
I said Kotho,
So
Hago, and Kaholo.
maybe you didn't pronounce them exactly how Nelson would have, but that's how they
Kaholo.
I didn't even know how that one.
No,
yeah,
you're
works.
good. Yeah, that was all true.
Yeah, so they come up. They obviously see this. They're the Blood Riders, and Dany's like, she like starts giving everybody commands. She's like, tell them that Drogo commands everyone when we're stopping, and Hago's like, this is a shitty place to stop. No one's gonna buy that. And Dany's like, well, tell them that it's because I'm pregnant and I feel like I'm about to have my baby. And then he starts to give Kotho a command, and Kotho's like, nah, fuck you. And then she gives him the command anyway, and he rides off. And she's like, he'll do it. Like, I know he'll do it anyway, even though he's pissed. And the command for him was, I think, go get Miri.
It was, to get Miri Mazdor.
Miri Mazdor.
And her chest of...
And
they've already, like, when she first put the first ointment on him and it was burning his skin, they've already, like, called her out.
He pussed out,
Magi.
Let's start there.
He did puss out, and he started drinking milk of the poppy like a little bitch.
So Jeff's talking about last chapter, though. Jeff's talking about when these guys...
Well, they mentioned it in this.
Oh, right here. You're talking about right now. That they're like, I'm not going to go get that Meiji or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How are we saying it? Is it Meiji, Magi?
I don't care.
I think it's Magi.
It's a Game of Thrones word, right?
Meiji.
It's got to be.
I like
gotta be a Game of Thrones word.
Magi.
I think it's Magi.
Anybody can call it whatever they want. We'll know what you mean.
The Magi is like from the Bible. Magi. The gift of the Magi.
There's an E in this one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Meiji. Magi.
That's what I thought. I thought it was something like Meiji.
So he's got this like, purple mud bullshit on his chest other than what Mira Mazdor put on him. And
so she put the thing on him and she's like, don't drink anything. And
she's like, you can't touch this either. Yeah, like leave it on.
And he pulled it off and drank a lot. He did the exact opposite. And he stopped eating. Dany said he stopped eating after a while because he just like was so fucked up. So, and then he put it on some other shit though, like some other shit that the Dothraki people put on him, but I don't know. Obviously, it didn't turn out too good for him.
Yeah, the shit that they were putting on was like mud or something.
Well, it was probably more to soothe the pain than to heal the wound, which she was trying to heal the wound. Yeah. And we have the inside knowledge to know that she was right. But, so anyway, so she's telling them, like, go get them. And they want nothing to do with any of these commands. They're not listening to her, pretty much is where they're at. So you can see.
What do you think the hierarchy is here? What do you think after Cal? Do you think it goes to the Blood Riders and the Khaleesi's just like a vessel to have a child?
No,
like she doesn't.
I think the Blood Riders maybe have a different hierarchy than everybody else. They answer to the Cal. That's Kotho's opinion, at least.
Everyone answers to the Cal.
Yes.
So the internet's telling me it's pronounced Maggie.
Maggie. That's fair enough. Maggie. That's the Meiji.
Real quick, the structure of the Khalasar.
Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Structure of the Khalasar is the Cal is the head of it. The Kos are like generals. So Ko-Pono, there's another Ko whose name is hard to say because it sounds like Jogo, but it's not Jogo.
Just make up a 3-syllable word that ends in O.
It's somebody else. They're important, but whatever. But the Kos are like generals, and then they each have people under them. So that's who Jorah's saying is going to fight. So he says these Kos are going to fight. It's not just like, oh, the strongest people are going to fight. It's like, oh, these generals who each have armies that are like sworn to them are going to fight each other.
So it's like factions fighting against factions.
Yeah, not just people. Yeah, so he says the Kos are going to fight, but that's like saying the generals are going to fight.
And it's kind of like what you were even saying before, Jeff, like these three dudes, exactly, but these three dudes each have their group of their own that are all vying.
Well, yeah, so the hierarchy you guys were asking about that. Well, Jeff said, like, what's a hierarchy? That's what's going to happen, like, when shit goes down. But, like, I assume just, like, the hierarchy kind of is similar, too, where, like, each individual member of the Khalasar probably doesn't have much face time with Jorah, but there's, like, generals and sergeants that, like, rank up to these Kos, and then the Kos talk to Drogo.
But I think his question was specifically to Dany. Like, how does Dany fit into all this? So I think she has.
So as terms of Dany, I don't think she holds any fucking power at all, except for
she was.
They know that Drogo values her opinion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is exactly what somebody says. That's what somebody says to her later. Is like, you are fucking nothing. They don't even care about the baby if he's not around.
Well, they don't want to usurp her. Another usurper. Yeah.
Which brings me to my other point while we're going down the hierarchy of this. Being a Blood Rider is what are you doing? Why would you ever say you wanted to be a Blood Rider?
It's good and bad.
What if the guy dies like the first year of being a call? Like, oh, you're fucked.
It's good and bad. It's a bet. Gamble.
Yeah, so you say that, but I'm thinking, well, no, it shouldn't be. I'm thinking that should be the fucking 7 in Westeros should take on a similar thing, right? Like
the Knights.
Put your money where your mouth is. Yeah, the one who's defending the king.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hey. Like,
right. No, I'm sure these guys are a lot more loyal than Jaime, who stabbed the king in the back. Like he wasn't just going to go slit his throat after he did that.
Or even Robert, right? So like, say that they have this thing where like, if this guy dies, you're fucking dead. And Robert's like, Barristan, stand back. I got this. And he's wasted. It's not just his life on the line. It's Barristan's. I mean, Barristan seems like an honorable guy who probably actually cares about the king's life more than himself in that position. But most people will be like, all right, yeah, you got it, old man, or whatever, to Robert, right? It would make somebody intervene in a situation.
Yeah, Barristan would be like, no, dude, my life's on the line. I'll kill him. So I think that's also... I'll kill that boar.
It's kind of also like a less... I mean, like... I don't know. It's kind of fucked up to value somebody else's life that much, I guess, that you would end your own. In my opinion.
I mean, but that's what you want in a position like that, right?
I mean, it's the ultimate loyalty. Yeah, you want that in a bodyguard for sure. Like it's like the president. Like you want not that Secret Service has to like kill himself after the president's done, but you want the guy that's going to jump in front of the bullet.
But I guess what you just said proves that you don't have to have a death pact.
We're just not as cool as the Dothraki. We just don't love each other enough.
Well, there's a Daniel Tosh joke about that, how the Secret Service, like, their job is to take a bullet for somebody. So, like, they'd be like, oh, what did the president tweet last night? How many sick days do we get? Yeah, I'm going to call off tomorrow. Shit like that. Like,
I haven't seen that.
It's like, you should, like, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, yeah, it's like definitely a commitment. And the one guy, I'm pretty sure Kaholo, they said it earlier in the book, and I'm pretty sure they reference it again here. The day Drogo was born, he swore he swore his life to Drogo. He said, like, I will defend you with my life. Because the cow's son actually has, like, a group of defenders, kind of like Dany does. Dany has a cause. So Drogo had a group of defenders beforehand, and this guy was one of them. And I don't know if the bond was that serious, but this guy did swear his life at Drogo's birth, knowing that if he grew up.
And Drogo's dad was a call?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just when he would take over, the dad died, and then Drogo was like, all right, I'll kill you all. I'm the cow now.
Yeah, he's like, who? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I assume he was like, anybody wants it, come get it. And either somebody did and they got it, or nobody did and Drogo just was in charge.
Makes sense.
That's what I'm guessing.
All right. So they set up a tent and...
Yeah. No, we're good.
Get Drogo inside and on a little feather bed.
And they start making a fire, and then the one slave that they picked up is like, oh, I think he gonna die.
So, okay, hold on. This is a good point. Who is this slave, Kyle? Dany has a new handmaid.
It's the little girl that was getting raped first, right?
Yeah, and
so
how are we going to say her name?
Sheep.
Where I don't see it. Where is it?
Eroa.
Aroa. I like that, actually.
I think it's Aroa.
Aroa.
Yeah.
I like Aroa. I can agree with
that. Aroa. I see what you're saying.
Aroa.
Eh.
I'm locked in on Aroa, so that's what I'll be saying.
But yeah, she was the one who is about Dany's age.
And Dany just slaps the shit out of her.
No, Dany slaps her.
Yeah, Dany slapped her. The cow cannot die.
He dies, she whispered. Dany slapped her. That's the next line. But then everybody agrees. Everyone can just smell that he's going to die.
Yeah, he fell from his horse.
Dany can't take it.
Do they like say it out loud? Like,
yes,
I don't think there's like an open consensus where like, yeah, he's gonna die, he's gone. Like, she's like, they all jump into action. She's like, get their clothes off, keep the door closed, go get a bath.
Jikri says, Khaleesi, he fell from his horse. Like,
yeah, everyone. Yeah, that's the thing.
This makes me think if anyone's ever just like tripped off of their horse, or like the horse hit a rock and like kicked them, and like, oh no, he's fucked. He fell. Yeah. Like, moving on. Next guy's up.
He's standing up. No, I'm good. I swear. And then just fucking kill him. Yeah, on to the next.
It's like the second he hits
someone
the ground,
someone just shoots an arrow at him.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they made the rule that they have to wait now, Jeff. You can't just do it right away.
Yeah, you never know.
One dude fell asleep in the saddle and got killed. So they changed the rule. Now you got to give it like there's a 24-hour rule. Yeah, so they get him in. Everyone springs into action. Handmaids like start taking off some of his clothes and stuff. Dany tells him to keep the door shut, even though it's hot as fuck, because she doesn't want anybody to see it. What else starts happening?
They're getting a bath ready for him.
They tell people to get the bath
with cold water.
And she undoes
takes
his
out
hair
his braids
and mentions that she did it the first night she got piped too, and she saves his bells for him because he's gonna want those once he wakes up.
Piped or raped.
So this one enters Sir Jorah Mormont,
and Jorah's like, yeah, he's fucked.
He heard about it way back.
Let's go.
Yeah. It just said Khal Drogo fell from his horse.
Yeah, he's like, let's get out. We got to go. Like, exactly what Jeff said. Yeah, he's like, we need to leave now. I know where we can go. We can be safe, but you have no use here.
So read that one, Jeff. When they were alone, Sir Jorah drew his dagger.
When they were alone, Sir Jorah drew his dagger. Deftly, with a delicacy surprising in such a big man, he began to scrape away the black leaves and dried blue mud from Drogo's chest. The plaster had caked hard as the mud walls of the landmen, and like those walls it cracked easily. Sir Jorah broke the dry mud with his knife, pried the chunks from the flesh, peeled off the leaves one by one. A foul, sweet smell rose from the wound, so thick it almost choked her. The leaves were crusted with blood and pus, Drogo's breast black and glistening with corruption. He fucked.
It's bad. I mean, this is where they really describe this thing that's like killing him, right?
Well, I mean, it was. What do they always call that in Game of Thrones terms? Not festered. Not festered though. Corrupted.
Yeah, they just said
the wound has corrupted. Did they say corruption? I love that term.
And Miri says festered when she comes in. She's like, "Oop, it's festered." That's like her first thing. She's like, "Oh, it's not good."
Which is crazy. Like it. When they first said like he got cut, it was like, oh, it's just a cut. Like this shit must have been.
We talked about this. No, we talked about this. Like
it's a nipple hanging off, dude.
They cut him pretty deep.
Right. I feel like it wasn't no like, oh, I got cut type of shit. Like that shit should have hurt. Like he should have not been able to do shit.
Yeah, I mean, he was like wincing in pain and shit when they were like cleaning it out, right?
I think so.
Yeah, he was.
They should have boiled. They should have poured boiling wine over it.
He should have just listened to Miri. Is what he should have done.
True.
I will not let him die.
Sir Jorah gave a bitter laugh.
Khaleesi, your queen, that command is beyond your power. Save your tears, child. Weep for him tomorrow or a year from now. We do not have time for grief. We must go and quickly before he dies.
Dany was lost.
Go? Where should we go?
Ashai, I would say. It lies far to the south at the end of the known world, yet men say it's a great port. We will find a ship to take us back to Pentos. It will be a hard journey. Make no mistake. Do you trust your cause? Will they come with us?
Khal Drogo commanded them to keep me safe.
Dany replied uncertainly.
But if he dies?
She touched the swell of her belly.
I don't understand. Why shall we flee? I am Khaleesi. I carry Drogo's heir. He will be Khal after Drogo.
Sir Jorah frowned.
Princess, hear me. The Dothraki will not follow a suckling babe. Drogo's strength was what they bowed to, and only that. When he is gone, Jaqo and Pono and the other Khos will fight for his place, and this Khalasar will devour itself. The winner will want no more rivals. The boy will be taken from your breast the moment he is born. They will give him to the dogs.
Dany hugged herself.
But why?
She cried plaintively.
Why should they kill a little baby?
He is Drogo's son, and the crones say he will be the stallion who mounts the world. It was prophesied. Better to kill the child than to risk his fury when he grows to manhood.
Kyle, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, it's obviously true. They even talk about it. They killed Rhaegar's kids. They were trying to kill her. Like, I mean, it makes sense in their thinking. Like, this kid now has a claim to this position.
Amy said it earlier. The very next thing Dany thinks about after this is like, oh shit, like, yeah, I've heard a story. This sounds familiar.
Yeah.
That's what happened to my brother's children.
Rhaegar's kids. Do you think Rhaego's actually like kicking inside her? Like, do you think he knows what's up?
She
do you
says
think the baby
happens,
knows
right?
what's up? Yeah, she says it multiple times. Like every time something bad goes wrong, like he kicks her.
As if he heard, yeah.
But it's also
boy got good ears.
Well, it's also like she's probably reacting to hearing these things.
And then she says that she thinks Drogo's blood riders, so Koloho and Kotho and Haga, will protect her baby, as well as her cause. Which, even though she just admitted she doesn't know if her cause would protect them if they left right now to try and go to Ashai, she does say that. She thinks they would protect her son for some reason. Yeah, she thinks they would protect her son for some reason. But then she says she thinks they would protect her son for some reason. And here she says, two of the Blood Riders would. But then Drogo's like, come on, you're fucking fooling yourself. You know all that's bullshit. And she's like, oh, yeah, you're right, I do.
And this is when we find out that the Blood Rider is the worst job in America. That you just give yourself up and then you have to take her back to Vaes Dothrak and then kill yourself. How do you think they do it? Do you think they jump in a fire? Do you think they
what's that shit that
do you think they kill each other? Do you think they drink poison?
Seppuku? What's it called when the Japanese stab
that's what
himself?
I was thinking.
Yeah, seppuku.
Dude, but it's fire might be it, Jeff.
Dude, that'd be awful.
I was thinking maybe they just walk into the womb of the world. That'd be dope, but it also doesn't really make sense if they call it the womb. That like big lake that Dany had to walk into naked.
And they just drown themselves?
What if they just drown? That'd be badass as fuck.
Because it's super easy to do.
Or they jump off the mother mountain.
So easy.
Yeah.
You just wear like weights or something.
That should be wild.
I don't know.
All right, what's next on the important list?
So Drogo says like, it's not true. Like these guys will not protect you. Like this is their job.
Jorah.
Yeah, Jorah's like, this is their job. They got to take you back.
Well, yeah, and they're as good as dead now at this point. So yeah, they're not trying to break their customs for you. Like you can't rely on them anymore.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I cut you off.
Hold on, before you go, Nelson. Do you think Dany knew when obviously she didn't have much choice, right? Viserys threw her into this marriage. But do you think, like, when she was like, all right, I'm getting married to this guy, that her future would be, once he dies, that she would just go to Vaes Dothrak and chill there?
I mean, this had to have crossed her mind. She was just there with these
she even said something about when she gets older, she wouldn't mind being with them, I thought, or something like that. She could see
later
herself
on,
with them. Yeah.
In this chapter, she's like, I don't want to fucking go there. Or maybe that already happened.
Because she's a child at this point as well.
Yeah.
So before she was like, when I get older, that's what's going to happen to me is I'm going to be one of these crones or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. This is I don't remember. I'm sure you're probably right. I don't remember exactly when, but this has definitely crossed her mind before.
But she was talking about the old people being around, all the old ladies and whatnot. Is when it was. I think it was when she had to do that.
She ate the heart
thing.
Yeah.
So we glossed over it, Kyle. But what is Jorah say? Like, what does he want to do right now? He just wants to go.
Peace
and
out.
Dany and Drogo basically says we should do this.
Not
Dany
Drogo.
says, Jorah says we should do this. Dany's like, no, we can have these people protect us. Jorah's like, no, you can't. Think about it. She's like, oh yeah, fuck, you're right. And then Dany's like, but I'm not leaving anyway. That's what she says. Miri's about to walk in and then a bunch of shit happens. But like at this point, Dany's like, nah, I'm going to stay here anyway. Like, what the fuck is she thinking?
I'm not leaving.
I mean, I guess she's like in love with him or whatever. I don't get that shit, but
yeah, exactly. I think she's
it's like, get the fuck out of here.
Nah. Wouldn't you do that for Luke, Nelson? Come on.
Yeah, you wouldn't stay for Luke, bro?
I mean, Luke's a little different. I could just fucking put him on my back and get GTFO.
She has his baby, dude. She's 14. She has this baby.
She was
some
supposed to be
queen,
Stockholm syndrome.
or not queen, but you know what I'm saying. Like she had a good life, and here it is. It's right here.
Sunk cost fallacy. You have to think of.
Yes,
again, it's hard
exactly.
to do. You gotta
You're
think
right.
of everything from now on. What's the best course of actions I can take from my life?
This is emotions, man. This is beyond that, though. Like this is real life. You can't fucking apply gambling like rules to real life. You can't.
Yeah, I know, but you should. People should.
All right, let's keep going. We got a lot in this chapter. So Miramash's door comes in and just immediately is like, he's gone. The wound's festered. And
She's like, you took his shit off.
She comes in, and behind her too, the two blood riders
carrying her shit,
and they finally see his wound because Jorah opened the wound after they were gone, so they see it for the first time, and they're just like awestruck. They drop the chest, like. They one of them literally just punches Miramaz's door in the face immediately. Literally,
this is your fault.
And Quotha's like, "This is your fault," and he just punches it like in the face. And
he is a meaty smack.
And kicks her. And he's like a fucking. This guy has to be massive and just like strong as fuck.
And just like, this is too merciful. Like you're being too merciful.
Yeah. So what's
Danny
their plan? So what are they gonna do to her?
They're gonna
stake her out.
Stake.
No, they're gonna stake
and just
her
let
out
everybody
so
fuck her,
and
then they're gonna let the horses come fuck her.
The dogs, not the horse.
The horses would tear her up.
All right, Joe.
And then
Then
weasels and birds would eat her, and flies would plant maggots in her womb. Like this guy just, and then he grabs her and lifts her up, and I guess is like about to go take her outside to do all this shit to her. And Danny commands him to stop, and he's like, "You are fucking lucky that you're not getting pinned up, and all that shit's not happening to you too, bitch. Like, what the fuck are you saying?" And Jorah,
steps in and says, "Shut the fuck up."
Exactly.
Like, she's still Khaleesi. He's still alive, technically. Nothing's happened yet.
Well, she says he's Khaleesi, and I think Kotho says, "Wow, she's still alive."
Only while the blood of my blood still lives. Yep. When he dies, she's nothing. And there it is.
But that was a blood rider said that, right?
Yeah, there it is.
That's what Kotho says.
Once he's dead, I don't give a shit about you.
And Danny said, Danny feels once
he's dead, he's dead too. Like.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about you.
But he has one duty before he dies, and that's to take her back to the Crones, which I bet he's gonna get a lot of pleasure in. And
he's gonna.
I mean, later on, he even.
You think he rapes her?
Probably not.
Like during that trip.
Probably not. I don't know how they honor. And I feel like there's still like an honor thing there, but maybe, who knows? But later on, he literally says like, "You'll die." He's like, "After I kill this Meiji," they call Danny a Meiji and tell her that they're gonna kill Danny after they kill the other one. But this is another time Danny talks about, I think, the baby. She says Danny feels a tightness inside her. And she says, "Before I was Khaleesi, I was the blood of the dragon. Sir Jorah summoned my cause." Basically like, all right, you want to fight? We're going to fight. I'll get my guys against you guys. And Kotho's like, "Nah, not now. We'll just wait it out and see what happens." And he dips. And Danny's like, "Jorah, you better go. You better go suit.
Put on your armor.
Go suit up. Shit might not be going good here." Good call. It turns out to be a good call.
Turns out to be a very good call.
He still gets messed up though. I mean, he's in a similar situation to Drogo here.
So Jorah tells Danny something about Kotho, who's this guy, the Blood Rider, who's really pissed off. He says he's like fucking. He'll do whatever. He doesn't give a fuck about anything right now.
Dead man is beyond fear. It's pretty much the same thing as like the wall deserter.
A deserter, yeah, right.
That's exactly what I was going for. Good job, Kyle.
Good job, Cal.
Nail on the head.
Cal's all over it.
Boom. So then he goes off. He gets his armor on. Miri is pumped. She got saved again.
So hold on. Mary says something here, and it seems like kind of sarcastic. And I think she references something that somebody else said last time, right? Like in the last
about
chapter.
Slaves. More. You don't ask the slave. You tell.
Yeah, she says, "You saved me once," and Danny says, "And now you must save him, please." And she says, "You did not ask a slave." Miri replied sharply, "You tell her."
I think Kotho said that too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then she says, "Ask or tell, it makes no matter. He is beyond the healer's skill." So she's like, "Doesn't matter if you're asking nicely or telling me. There's nothing I can do." He's fucked. He's fucked. So his eyes are closed, and she opens them up, and immediately she's like, "This guy is fucking wasted. Has he been drinking? Has he been drinking?" And Danny's like, "Oh yeah," and he took all your shit off. Like he did everything you said he shouldn't do. Kind of what Kyle.
She's
Kyle
like, "It hurt," and she's like, "Of course it hurt. It was supposed to hurt."
Like, that's
like
point.
That was a good thing. Yeah,
that's the point, sweetie. It's the point, Silver Lady.
She's like, "Put some more on," and she's like, "It's too late for that." Like, and Danny just more and more. She's finally coming to grips with what's going on. And
Mary straight up says like, "At this point, all I can do is ease his passing."
Yeah, a little hospice.
Until
she says, "But there is something I guess I could do."
There is a price. Like, you got to know something like magic or something.
I am kind of
there is
a magi.
spell.
Or magi.
Maggie.
I actually been this the whole time. Got your ass.
The whole time.
I tricked you.
It reminds me of the you guys see the videos like somebody call an ambulance, but not for me.
I love those videos.
Oh yeah, the car. He's like outside the car.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
But there's a price to play for Magi's work.
So you guys skipped over two little things. So she thinks that like this is the first time she's like had everything she wanted. Like she's finally like in love. She's finally going home. And like, why are the gods so cruel? They're taking it away from me. And she tells before she asked like Miri, she's like, is there anything you do? She says, I'll fucking free you. Like, this is it. If you save his life, you're free. You're gone. You don't have to walk in the back of the Khalazar. Also, is it weird that she was walking in the back of the Khalazar? Like she just hooked up the king though last round. Like last chapter.
They all still hate her, dude.
They didn't want him to.
Yeah, they all still hate her.
I'm sure Drogo was pissed that he had to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it wasn't Dany's decision, but I thought she would have got a little something. Maybe like a goat to ride. Can you ride goats?
No, she fucking walks, dude. She's a slave.
Then she says, there is a spell I know, and that's when this goes. Now we're caught up.
You truly are a Maggie.
Yeah.
Am
I? Only Maggie can save your rider now, Silver Lady.
Where'd she learn this from, Glow? Their spell.
From a shy.
A blood mage from a shy from the Shadowlands, which is like
the Shadowlands, past the shy.
Off the fuck. It's not even on the fucking maps, right? Not even the maps they like print.
Oh really?
It like kind of. It's like the fucking border of like the maps they print. So yeah, that you truly are a magi, and she's like, do it. Like there's no other way. Do it. I don't give a fuck. Do it.
What's your price?
I'll give you whatever you want. Gold horses. It's like, go ahead.
Blood.
No, this is blood magic lady. Only death may pay for life.
Only death may pay for life.
So, and they killed a fucking horse. They should have killed the baby right here, right now.
What do you mean?
A horse is equal to Drogo's life? Like, come on.
Dude, it's a stallion that melts
It's just
the world.
blood.
It's Drogo's
Think of all
horse.
that blood that they just dropped
First off,
on him.
Drogo's horse. Dany even says that like Silver might be the best horse in the Khalazar besides Drogo's horse. So it's the goatest horse.
I don't care.
It's the horse's horse.
No.
I mean, we don't
person.
know. Like, was there power in whose blood they actually used, or
Obviously
just
not.
a lot of blood?
I mean, there was also more shit going on than just this blood, right?
Baby's
like,
blood, horse blood.
I mean,
I'd cut the horse's head off too.
There's
Like,
also more shit going on than just something dying. There's like shadows dancing later.
Because something died. But that was the key.
It wasn't a horse shadow.
They needed the death, is what I'm saying. So, like, if
they needed to kill something.
Why couldn't they went and caught a rabbit?
So hold on, real quick, before we get to that.
Like,
Dany at first,
George should have made her make a real decision right here. That's what I'm saying. This is me.
Listen, Dany at first thinks it's her that she has to pay with her own life.
Yeah,
and she says she would.
Fair enough.
She's a fool.
Doesn't that include like the thing is, would she be like, I'll do it, but kill me after I give birth, or is it like
I don't know if he'd be
dead by then.
I don't know if George thought about the deepness of this question here.
Because that right there, when she says that, that's kind of like her saying, yeah, I'd kill myself and my baby for this guy, which is kind of crazy.
It is. I think she cares more about her kid than this at this point, which is weird to me.
And there's another quote there that Rhaegar dies for the woman he loved.
Yes.
Hang on. Back it up. Rewind a little bit. So you said Miri tells her like it needs a life, and she says only death may pay for life, and she says, yeah, exactly, my death, and she says, and that's when she's freaked out, and she doesn't answer. She doesn't say that she would give her life for Drogo. She said
in the
immediately.
quote before that, she says she would.
She says
for
death.
Sure.
Dany wrapped her arms around herself protectively, rocked back and forth on her heels. My death? ? She told herself she would die for him if she must. She was the blood of the dragon. She would not be afraid.
She didn't say it out loud.
But I think she's trying to convince herself here. I don't think she's wholly on board for that.
I mean, she's definitely scared.
Then immediately Miri says, no, not your death.
Yeah, you're right. So and Danny says, then as soon as she says not your death, Danny's like, all right, go ahead, do it. Pull a trigger.
I can't believe she didn't think it was her kids at that point.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
That was the first thing I was thinking. Was like,
I don't think she knows what
it's got to be a baby.
I don't think she knows what to expect. Turns out to be the horse. They bring that motherfucker in and just dump all of his blood on the bathtub.
It dies and they're holding it up and shit. Yeah, it's bad.
So we get at the first mention of one of her Kas here. This guy Jogo. Here, let me see. I don't think sometimes
Jogo. Yeah.
Yeah. So
didn't he?
So he's the one who whips Viserys around the neck.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
He gets commanded to stop the rape and does. Right, so this guy's he's a cool guy, right? This is one of the ones I was saying earlier.
Jogo seems the most legit.
He's one of the cool. He's definitely one of the more talked about people in the Khalazar, and he's basically like Danny's right hand man. This guy Jogo. Yeah. Yep. And what do we learn about him here? It's like the first time we actually hear anything about him besides what he's doing.
16.
He's 16, and he's fearless, and he's scared shitless. George does this a lot where he says somebody has this quality of having I don't know just what he does here. I don't know what the fuck you call that, where he says somebody's fearless and talk about how fearful they are in the moment.
Where do they say how fearful he is?
What's he say right after they talk? Just read that quote real quick. I don't think I have it.
Jogo edged back, his hand on his Iraq. He was a youth of 16 years, whipped thin, fearless, quick to laugh, with the faint shadow of his first mustachio on his upper lip. He fell to his knees before her. "Khaleesi," he pleaded, "you must not do this thing. Let me kill this Meiji."
Yeah, as soon as she says she's going to kill the horse, he freaks out, backs up, grabs his sword and gets on his knees and begs her to kill.
Because she's about to perform a fucking ritual
to
bring this dude back from the dead.
I'm not saying his actions are out of place, but I'm saying a person who's fearless, this is something... It's he juxtaposes this guy's qualities with his actions to present this is how fucked up the situation is. I
don't know if he's scared. I mean, I guess he just.
But this is this is against our religion and this is against our culture. You can't do this. This is not allowed.
I don't disagree with that, but
yeah,
I don't think he's scared. I think he just wants to kill her and get it over with. But all right, let's keep going. So she kills the stallion. All the blood drains into the tub, and Danny's like, "Only a horse? That's all it took to save his life?"
That's what I'm saying.
And she's like, "No, we got some more shit that we got to get done. Get the fuck out."
Hold on. So now I'm disagreeing because while this is going on, it says the Meiji drew it. So she pulled out this knife. The Meiji drew it across the stallion's throat under the noble head, and the horse screamed and shuddered as the blood poured out of him in a red rush. He would have collapsed, but the men of her cause held him up. "Strength of the mount, go into the rider," Miri sang as the horse blood swirled in the waters of Drogo's bath. "Strength of the beast, go into the man." So this spell sounds like it's about this horse.
You're right. But what I'm saying is that I think it would have been better if it was.
I got you.
More symbolic if it was.
Yeah, it would have been a better choice.
More of a sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly. That's my opinion, and I mean, here we are.
And you're sticking to it.
He wrote it this way, and this is the way it is. I get it.
Opinions are like assholes, man.
Everyone
mine
has
stinks.
Them.
So then in my notes, I don't have the quote. Maybe you guys tell me if I'm wrong. I have Jogo looks terrified.
Yep.
Looked terrified as he struggled with the stallion's weight.
We just said
fearless. We just said fearless. So
yet afraid to let go as well. Yeah.
Just afraid to lift all this weight.
So Drogo's body's floating, and the blood, the water's so dark, you can only see his head now. And Danny's like, "Get that horse out of here and get it burnt." Why did they have it get it burnt, Jeff?
It's the way to do it.
Because they didn't want anyone to see it, right?
Yeah, that's what would have happened anyway. They always get burned.
There you go. Yeah, that's what they normally do. Is they burn the person, somebody in Dothraki culture.
Because they wanted to carry it off to the Nightland. Yeah,
so they get
he can ride it in death
or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Miri throws some shit into some smokes into the thing, into the fire. Iroha runs out. She sends her maids. Danny's like, "Maids, go with Iroha," and Miri's like, "You got to go with him too, Silver Lady." And she's like, "No, I'm not gonna leave him. He piped me before." And
I love him.
She's like, "You must. Once I begin to sing, no one must enter this tent. My song will wake powers old and dark. The dead will dance here this night. No living man must look on them." So Danny leaves and is like, "All right, I'll try and make sure that happens." she leaves, and when she gets outside, it's almost sunset. Jogo and Ago were making a fire pit to burn the horse, and people were like looking at her because she's like kind of covered in blood because this horse.
Well, everybody knows what's going on.
Everyone knows what's going on. They also brought a horse into a tent. And now Dany's coming out covered in blood. I mean, the horse came out dead. Then the horse came out dead. Then Dany comes out covered in blood.
They know what's happening here to some degree.
Jorah walks up and is like, "What have you done, you fool?" Right?
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, I had to, right?
He tells her they could have fled.
Yep, to Ashai to be safe. Then she's like, am I still your princess? And he's like, yes.
She's like, if I'm your princess, you better do whatever I say right now. Like, get your ass ready.
So is this because he's on a mission here? Let's start there. Is he feeding information back to Westeros or not? Yeah, Westeros.
And we know he is.
Right? Yeah. So like, is that why he's tasked to protect her? Is that why he's saying, yes, you're my princess? Or does he truly feel connection to her?
We haven't heard anything from the Westeros side about him having any orders. We just have words that he's an informant, but it's a good thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, obviously, we can't talk to you about it.
We'll leave it there. Yeah. I know, but I just wanted a pinpoint that I connected this. That's all.
All right.
So this is when shit starts to go bad. The Blood Riders.
Mirama's doors.
Well, everyone's looking right,
and
Mirama's doors
and all that shit, and now everyone's freaking out.
Enter the Blood Riders.
The Blood Riders show up, and they're like, "We know what's happening in there. She's doing fucking dark magic.
The scene is the scene. Now that when you actually think about it, you literally have the horse being like buried, like not buried, but like the body's right there, and they're building a fire pit right there. Dany's covered in blood. I'm sure there's blood trails leading out of this tent all over the place.
Demons are singing.
The Blood Riders come
tent.
up with what? Who do they bring with them? Oh, like the actual Dothraki healers, like the people that they
the eunuchs.
They're go-to healers.
Knife and needle, and fire, yeah.
So Clotho shows up. He is pissed. He's like, "What the fuck's happening here?" And Dany's like, "This is how it's gonna be. Get out of my way. Don't fuck with me." And Hago calls Dany a Meiji.
Yeah, you will die, Meiji, but the other must die first.
So what do they say about Coloho here?
Kaholo.
Whatever. This is where they say he's bound to. This is the guy who was bound to Drogo at birth.
He spat in her face.
But don't they say the person who was bound?
He spat full in her face.
Yeah. He was the one as a baby.
And old Kaholo, who was bound his life to Drogo on the day of his birth. Kaholo, who had always been kind to her. Kaholo spat full in her face.
Yeah.
Bitch.
He gets what was coming to him later.
So anyway, she's like, no, you can't go in there. Miri told me no.
And this is where Clotho promises Dany that she will die after Miri, when he should be sworn to take her back to Vaes Dothrak. So she's pissed him off. She is not in his good graces that he's willing to break this.
He's that pissed that he's just gonna kill her, which has to be a
so she grabs him
right?
to try and stop him from going in and then killing what's her face, and she throws him down, and she like kind of grabs her belly, and then he goes to the tent, and I had this whole fight as a quote.
Ricardo and Coro stood beside the tent flap. Coro took a step forward, reaching for the handle of his whip, but Clotho spun graceful as a dancer, the curved rack rising. It caught Coro low under the arm, the bright sharp steel biting up through leather and skin, through muscle and rib bone. Blood fountained as the young rider reeled backward, gasping. Clotho wrenched the blade free. "Horse Lord!" Sir Jorah Mormont called. "Try me." His long sword slid from his scabbard. Clotho whirled, cursing. The rack moved so fast that Coro's blood flew from it in a fine spray, like rain in a hot wind. The longsword caught it a foot from Sir Jorah's face, and held it quivering for an instant as Clotho howled in fury. The knight was clad in chainmail, with gauntlets and greaves of lobstered steel and a heavy gorget around his throat, but he had not thought to don his helm. Clotho danced backward, a rack whirling around his head in a shining blur, flickering out like lightning as the knight came on in a rush. Sir Jorah parried as best he could, but the slashes came so fast that it seemed to Dany that Kotho had 4 Araks in as many arms. She heard the crunch of sword on mail, saw sparks fly as the long curved blade glanced off a gauntlet. Suddenly it was Mormont stumbling backward, and Kotho leaping to the attack. The left side of the knight's face ran red with blood, and a cut to the hip opened a gash in his mail and left him limping. Kotho screamed taunts at him, calling him a craven, a milkman, a eunuch in an iron suit. "You die now," he promised the rack, shivering through the red twilight. Inside Dany's womb, her son kicked wildly. The curved blade slipped past the straight one and bit deep into the knight's hip where the mail gaped open. Mormont grunted, stumbled. Dany felt a sharp pain in her belly, a wetness on her thighs. Kotho shrieked a triumph, but his rack had found bone, and for half a heartbeat, it caught. It was enough. Ser Jorah brought his longsword down with all the strength left in him, through flesh and muscle and bone, and Kotho's forearm dangled loose, flopping on a thin cord of skin and sinew. The knight's next cut was at the Dothraki's ear, so savage that Kotho's face seemed to almost explode.
Sick. So, Jorah...
Oof.
I couldn't imagine fighting back then. Like, hand-to-hand combat is intense. Like, the idea of that to me, like, I couldn't imagine. I can't even imagine, like, stabbing somebody. Like, I don't know how people stab people.
It's so personal.
Like, it's so fucked up.
It would suck to win because it's too personal. I mean,
just the feeling. No, not even just like somebody. The feeling of a knife going. Like, I don't even need to know who it is. Like that. That's got to be intense.
No, I don't know. Like, even killing it. Like, I go hunting and killing my first deer is like, it's like when you're about to kill something, it's like tough. Like, it's tough. I don't think I could kill a person. Right? It's like, I don't think killing a person with a gun is harder than killing a person with a sword. If that's what you're saying.
I think it's easier.
I just think about it like,
I don't think so.
This dude got stabbed in the hip. Like,
I think it's easier.
Jorah is like, he got a fucking knife into the hip, and
no, it hit his bone.
It got caught in his fucking bone.
It hit his bone.
I just don't. I mean,
yeah, it says half.
Yeah, it said his mail
half
opened
a
up.
heartbeat. He got stuck into the bone.
Yeah, exactly. The rack found bone,
and then he still had the strength through the pain. Just imagine all that pain, and then you still have the strength to like cut the person down. Like, that's just crazy.
That's beyond me.
All adrenaline.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like,
the thing is, I feel like I would be better at that than this, just because I could kind of just full armor, like go
that than this. At what than what?
I'd be better at fighting then than now, just because back then you don't have guns, you can't just shoot from far away, and you have to come kind of get up in my face, and I could just kind of go like mountain style and just go crazy amount of armor. Yeah, just go crazy armor. It's like super heavy and shit, but like you just can't get. There's no way to get through it, and just like I'm indestructible. I feel like I'd do way better now than then.
Somebody hits you with a warhammer and it smashes through your armor, you're fucked. The game over. They made weapons to defeat armor. So like
it'd be big ass armor, and you have to be a big ass person to do that. And I'd be better. I'm more athletic than other people my size is the thing. Easy, easy.
Even with Bran on your stomach.
Dude, there's people in the NBA your size
even
that are way
Bran around.
Way more athletic than you. What do you mean? You've got to be in the bottom percentile of 6'7" people in athleticism.
Definitely top 95%.
No fucking shot, dude. You'd be in the NBA right now, top 95%. What are you talking about? There's so many people
that are 6'7". 6'7" is like point guard for NBA. Those guys are
exactly.
top 1%.
So
those
there's
guys
a whole group 1%. Of people.
Those are the top 0.01%.
You might be top 85%.
I'll take that. I'll take it. Deal. That's fair. All right,
and that's only because there's a minority of 6'7" people. Moving on.
So the Dothraki are all shouting at the fights. Miri's still like, I don't know if we ever said it. Miri's going nuts. She's like wailing and shit.
Well, we talked about it throughout. Yeah, there's shadows dancing. Like, yeah. Well, there's more people in there than when they left. Yeah.
And the fucking guy who got stabbed at the beginning, Caro, is like not dead yet. He's still on the ground, like pleading for water and shit. I don't know. Does he even die? I'm not sure. Do we give Kotho a kill?
I would.
Yeah,
I think
he dies. Dead. Come on. They said he stabbed into his fucking lungs.
Just pleading for water as he died.
Okay. Dany's crying for help too because she's on the ground and potentially
she's getting burned.
In labor. Yeah. So then there's another like little fight. Ricaro was fighting Hago. Arak dancing with Arak until Jogo's whip cracked, loud as thunder. The lash coiled around Hago's throat. A yank, and the Blood Rider stumbled backwards, losing his feet and sword. Ricaro sprang forward, howling, swinging his Arak down with both hands through the top of Hago's head. the point caught between his eyes, red and quivering. Someone threw a stone, and when Dany looked, her shoulder was torn and bloody. "No," she wept. "No, please, stop it. It's too high. The price is too high." More stones came flying. She tried to crawl towards the tent, but Kaholo caught her, fingers in her hair. He pulled her head back, and she felt the cold touch of the knife on throat. And then he gets shot by an arrow from Aggo.
Aggo, yeah.
Nice work, Aggo.
Who shoots somebody else, who also helps save rapists in the last chapter.
Yeah, I mean, her group seemed much better than the Blood Riders.
Well,
for sure.
with the help of Jorah, her group took down the Blood Riders. Yeah, big time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, better in terms of like human beings. Better.
I mean,
yeah.
the other thing is like, the other two Blood Riders, except for the Q one,
Kaholo.
the Q one,
Kotho.
The other two, Kaholo and Hago, were not. They've never been dicks up until this chapter, and it's probably because like they think Dany just killed them. You know what I mean? Like when they ride up right now, Dany literally like, "You fucking just killed me. Like, what are you doing?" You know what I mean? So I get their actions here, and they've never been dicks. Like Hago was kind of a dick.
Hago was kind of a dick.
He punched Miriam as door, but we're still flirting with you're literally killing me right now.
Yeah, I mean that's a slave though. Like they don't care about Miriam as door at all.
Not that it's okay to just punch somebody, but
yeah, but they were just raping.
Exactly.
Last chapter, they were just raping them continuously.
Yeah,
which means that they're not that great at people. I mean, you're trying to. Nelson's trying to redeem them here, but if they were raping people last chapter,
I'm just saying those two were never like horrible before, and she speaks.
To Dany,
she speaks highly of Dany.
Me and the Dany.
They were above average Dothraki.
MVD.
They were above average.
MVD.
Above average Dothraki. Moving on. This is where my notes end. So she when she starts to look around, some people are going back to their tents, some people are riding off.
Yeah, it kind of fizzles here, and then everybody not everybody, but everybody left realizes she's giving birth, like Jorah especially, right?
Well, and like time has passed. The sun is set now. Like she was been asleep for like an hour. I don't know, like some time, right? She's like when she finally like looks around again, fires burn.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Orange blazes crackle
after he died. After Kaholo died, Kaholo was dead here as well. So you give Aggo a kill?
This is where I stopped. Aggo will get a kill, Jorah will get a kill, and I think Ricardo and Joe.
So when she found the strength to raise her head, the crowd was dispersing. Dothraki.
Some were riding away.
Silently back to their tents.
Some were riding away.
Some saddling horses and riding off. Yeah, sun had set. Fires burned throughout the Khazar. Then the breath went out of her.
The sound? What is the sound of Miriam Mazdor's voice? Was like a funeral
dirge.
What is that?
It's a Game of Thrones word.
No, it's like I don't want to say it because I'm gonna get it wrong because I don't know exactly what it is.
I have no idea. I've never even heard of that word.
It's like the song around a funeral, lament for the dead. Yeah, especially one forming part of a funeral rite. Mournful song, piece of music, or poem.
Gotcha.
So it's like just like sad.
That just should sound sad.
Yeah, it's just awful. And then
so Jorah picks her up.
Jorah picked her up. And she saw half his ears gone.
Yeah, he's fucking what's his face? Got a nice little cut on him.
You're the only one left. Like you're the only one here. Nobody else is gonna help me. Everybody else is too afraid.
Well, he's shouting. He's shouting for people. He's like, he's shouting for her handmaids, right? It's like, where the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Doria, curse you. Yeah, you roared. Come here, fetch the birthing woman.
And they're all saying that
she's like,
Dany.
they're scared,
saying Dany's cursed.
She's cursed
because of probably because of this blood magic she just did.
Exactly. Yeah, like she just tied herself to this in here. Like they're not going to help her anymore. She's like, where else can we go? Oh, I know somebody that said they're good with birthing chicks or birthing little kids.
So part of the reason I had the Miriam Mazdor quote earlier about like don't let anybody in the tent is, and we didn't really mention it, but Dany never really conveyed that message to Jorah.
Yeah, no, she never said it to anybody.
Aggo was outside the tent with the horse when she told him that. So if Aggo is the one suggesting this, then he has a reason not to go in the tent because he wouldn't have been there when she said this. So like,
I mean, they're all probably just scared of that tent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Danny's like, no, please don't bring me in there. But she can't
say
say
it
it because
out
she's
loud.
in labor. She's in labor and can't speak right now.
All she starts doing is screaming. But they're still seeing all these fucking shapes dancing inside.
Dude, fuck that. How have they not trained her handmaids of like, maybe not like everything, but like they should be able to do some shit here to deliver this baby.
They're all scared. They ran. That's what they're saying.
No,
they're not there.
No, there's Doria.
Her handmaids are there.
They're not there. They're not there.
I'm telling you,
they're not
Doria there. And
Jorah screamed, "Where is Doria?"
No, Doria's yelling back to her. Doria's talking back to Jorah. She's saying Dora's
and Erie's there.
Jorah's telling Doria to go get the birthing women, and Dora's like, no, they fucking left. Like they think everyone says Dany's cursed. Like we're the only ones with you.
Yeah, I'm saying her handmaid should have been like able to do this.
Dude,
they're with her. They're with her all the time.
Doria is literally there to teach her how to fuck Drogo better.
Sure, there's three other ones. Two of them being Dothraki people
like
that have been
younger than her. They're like younger than Dany, right?
We don't know their age. They've never. We've also got to get it out of our minds that this is normal times. Like their jobs are literally to be with her all day long. So it's not like they have crazy fucking medical.
You're going to train an 11-year-old to give somebody help while they're giving birth?
No, I'm just saying, like, hey, this could happen. Like, here's what you should do if it does happen, and say we're far away.
The birthing women.
Yeah, like run and go get the people. Call 911 is what you tell kids.
All right, and they have a Khalasar of 50,000 people. Like, where are the birthing people? All I'm saying is, it's not like they have special equipment to deliver this baby. What are they gonna do? Stick their hands in there and pull it the fuck out? Like, it's crazy that they thought like this is going to be something crazy.
If someone was like, Jeff, go give birth to this baby, you couldn't just do it right now. It's not that simple. What do you mean?
I'm not saying that, but I would say I would try if I had to.
Well, I mean, not if there's somebody who like we talked about this last chapter too. Like, I think
there's no technology in this. This isn't normal times. Deliver the fucking kid.
I think Kyle even pointed out last Dany chapter, like Miriam Azdor is very open-handed with like, oh, I know how to give birth. Like, I think Kyle said like she was saying it in order to try and make herself be valuable. Useful. And keep herself around. But like here, Erie's like, oh, I heard her say it. She definitely said it. Like they definitely were setting this up where people were supposed to know that she was good at giving birth.
I get it. I just think like, obviously they don't trust this lady. Most of them don't. Like, that's your last Hail Mary is just to take her in this fucking tent of demons instead of like, hey, let's just set up a little deal here.
They don't know what's going on there.
Yeah,
they know what's happening.
Kyle, what do you think's happening?
Well, I mean, so she's supposedly communicating with like spirits of the dead, right? But
you said the dance.
I don't know what's actually happening. So like that's part of why I'm not quote unquote ready for this chapter. It's like
I don't know
what the extent of their magic is. Yeah, exactly. So like this could be real. It could be like she had guys come in the back and start dancing inside, and freaking everybody else out.
Yeah.
So like I have no idea, but I have the unfortunate knowledge of knowing Dany lives through this. So like
in the book or in the show.
Yeah, in the show. But I can't imagine Dany dies at the end of this as well. Because I feel like her story has been separate for a reason, and if it ended here, it wouldn't be smart.
You're right.
so
it would be out of nowhere. Though. It would be really George R. Martin.
It would be a surprise for sure. But like, so obviously this doesn't end her. It's going to change her in some way. I don't know how yet because, like I said, I don't know what's even happening inside the tent. But I think Drogo comes back, but he's not going to be respected anymore, and they have to deal with being on the run for a little while here.
Okay.
That'll be my prediction, and that's, I think, the best I can do.
All right. Let's kick Kyle out of here.
Yeah.
All right, Cal.
Bye, Kyle.
See you on the next show, bud.
Later, guys.
Bye, Kyle.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
All right, Cal. See you later, bud. We'll see you on the next episode for Arya 5. Not many Arya chapters. And now on to the spoiler section of Daenerys 8. Boys, I gotta start off with a hot take, and then I will carry it off to Jeff and Nelson. My first hot take is the smell of Drogo's wound. How foul and sweet it smells.
Well, what does this one mean? This means nothing. I mean, why does this smell sweet?
It just means that every time he uses sweet, it actually has a bad connotation to it. Except for the one time for lemon cakes, he described them as sweet.
Dumb.
How's that dumb? Fuck off.
I thought it normally meant like lies or like deception, not just like bad. Bad is like such a blanket statement. I thought it was like more general. It's so
bad.
Typically, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
I literally
It's
only put it
lies.
down because I knew Glow was going to.
Yeah. What's your next one, Jeff?
My next note while I was reading was being a blood rider is awful.
Oh,
That's the only notes I have from this
that.
chapter.
So we'll go on a few things. First off, Kyle said magic's. We said at the beginning, Kyle's like, magic better be like rare in the world, right? Like,
I think it's pretty rare. To make
sense. Well, there's like something that happens at the end of this book. The glow.
The dragons?
Dragons. And what happens once the dragons are born?
He knew that dragons were coming.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, dragons reawaken the magic in the world.
Everyone who has anything magic related says like, oh, ever since, and they don't know the dragons were the cause at first, right? But like
the red comet and shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. And then like everyone says it's the red comet, and like people say like magic went out of the world when dragons left, and shit like that. Just like there's comments like that all over the place.
So do the candles get lit when the dragons were reborn?
Yeah, exactly. That's when the glass candles people can use too. So no glass candle shit could have happened yet. I don't know if I guess.
However, Blood Raven was using magic, so yeah, I feel different. Like
somehow that's different.
And the red priestess had to have some magic. They all have
some magic, but they say it gets way higher. And in the show, Melisandre said it gets way higher.
When do they say that? Is that a quote on here? That's an actual quote?
Yeah, and I think Melisandre says her magic's higher near the wall too.
Okay.
What are you looking for, Jeff? What quote?
No, I'm just saying like that gets mentioned at some point, like magic kills the dragons, or is it just like we think that?
No, when dragons died, magic like went way away, like started happening way less. I think is
right. Mentioned. I'm just saying, is that going to get mentioned here in the future?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it does. Yeah.
I don't remember that being said. So
also this whole like Miri and Drogo thing. Did he try? Is this intentional?
I was actually that is one of the thoughts I had.
Yeah, I mean that was a question I had. Like, was that original? Because
Kyle was thinking like with it. First off,
the original.
He's 100% on. Kyle's 100% on Miri's trying to help Drogo, which is like I don't know if most people think that.
I don't. Right, I'm trying to think like maybe this first actual thing actually did fester the wound, right? We don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know. That's exactly like maybe this was all planned by Miri.
Right. She's like, oh, I'm going to put this fucking wrap on that's going to, like, maybe there was, like, fucking bacteria, like, soaked in the fucking bandages or whatever, you know?
The things that go, obviously the arguments that go against that are why is she he's obviously in such a bad state anyway. Why would she be upset that they took off her bandages?
To play the part.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so, but she...
I think that's pretty obvious.
Okay, you can say that for anything, right? But...
Yeah,
I don't know where it lies. I think she's
not mad that he's dead for sure. I mean, she's not even mad when she dies, right? She's like, oh, fuck it, burn me.
I don't remember exactly what her quote is either, but in the show, she definitely says, like, when Dany's like, this isn't life. She's like, what do you, like, she's like, Miri says something like, when you had saved me, I'd already been raped by like 4 riders. Like, this is what life is worth when all else is gone. Because that's basically where Miri is now, right? Like, Miri had everything in her life taken away from her. She's like, I bought him the same life you bought me. Is basically what Miri ends up saying to Dany in the show. But I think that's more about the spell, not about the initial treatment. I think she did have good intentions in the initial treatment.
Why? Why would she have
I don't know. I don't know why she would if she doesn't in the spell, but I just think she does.
That doesn't make any sense for the storyline for her to actually want to save Drogo.
I should have done research into this theory before this chapter, and I'll do it before the next chapter. But there is theories that Miri is like kind of in camp with Illyrio. and Jorah.
That's hard.
Jorah might not know that he's in the same camp as Miri. They might just be like connected through Illyrio. But basically, the connection is either. Well, I guess they're two separate theories, but they both go to the same thing. And one is here: Jorah's trying to get Dany to go to Asshai here, right?
Right.
Why?
Yeah, it seems out of the way.
They're closer. They're closer to Marine. They're closer to fucking anywhere than Asshai.
Right, because they end up going across the Red Waste to Marine, right?
Exactly.
It's like they can't even close to Asshai.
So why go to Asshai?
Because of the dragons. I don't know.
Okay, so that's a good thought. Why does Jorah want to take Dany to Asshai? Think that behind this theory, Illyrio has something to do with it.
Because they think that they can hatch the eggs in Asshai.
Exactly.
That's like the only thing I can think of.
Exactly. And who gives Dany the eggs?
Illyrio.
Who connects Dany with Jorah? Illyrio. And now who's telling Dany to go to Asshai?
Jorah.
So, I mean, again, and then if you're on the camp of Mirri Maz Duur's who kills Drogo, it's a hard stretch to go that Illyrio planted her there in order to kill Drogo, because how does
he know? Just alongside the landmen ready to get fucked?
Exactly. How does he know that she's going to be pulled out randomly by Dany and in a position with Drogo's life in her hands, right? So that's a stretch. But the fact that when you look at her list of credentials that she rattled off last chapter,
no, she was all over the place.
Why the fuck is she here with these people? You know what I mean? Like, how did she end here?
I gotcha.
So people think it's weird, and she ends up at the end of this book. She is, I mean, how involved I guess is up to debate, but I don't know if anyone debates she has some part to play in the hatching of these dragons. All right, would either of you debate that?
Say that again.
Miri has some part to play in the hatching of these dragons.
Sure, absolutely.
Death needs to pay for life.
So okay, so I guess I'm getting off on tangents. Let me try and stay more focused.
Real quick, let me sidebar you real quick. I just read ahead. So Mirri Maz Duur knew the cost and what it would bring for
Dany knew
Drogo.
The cost.
No, she Miri was like, yeah, I kind of fucked you over on purpose about like the whole spell thing and killing her child.
Yeah, she says the same thing she says in the show, where it's like, it's the same. Yeah. I bought him the same thing you bought me. Life is worth as much to Drogo as it is to me now because everything else is gone, basically.
Yeah. So the whole first part about healing, not sure about, but the second part with the spell, 100% on purpose.
So whether Marwyn's behind that or not is up for debate. So I guess let's go back to that theory that Illyrio is behind that or not is up for debate.
Get your thoughts together.
So let's go back to the first thought. Are you guys behind? Would you guys potentially be behind a theory where Illyrio somehow gets Jorah to go on this thing with Dany with the end goal to be hatching dragons?
Yes.
And that's why he's trying to get her to go to Asshai.
Maybe
not. It's not 100%, but that's a potential.
I could see it being. I mean, they bring up Asshai so much.
People think it's weird that Miri's out here, and she also has abilities to hatch dragons. So I don't know how you want to connect those things. Is that connected to Illyrio? It's hard to tie that connection, but it's weird that she's out here, right, with these abilities. Obviously, it seems like at this point, if you're going with somebody wants Miri to hatch Dany's dragons, it doesn't seem like Jorah's on that front, right? So if Illyrio is behind the Mirri Maz Duur out here thing, and Mirri Maz Duur out here to hatch dragons, it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't seem like Jorah's on that same front. Jorah wants to go to Asshai right now. Mirri Maz Duur is doing other shit, right? So those two things seem opposite. So I can't believe they're both on the same side.
Maybe they both have the same mission without being together,
or they're commissioned by different people, right? Because we know later that Quaithe starts reaching out to Dany. Who knows if Mirri Maz Duur could be part of the whole
Quaithe thing? Just fucking confuses the shit out of me.
I've never paid a ton of attention to it, but again, we're gonna try and pay more attention to it on this read through. But yeah, the whole Mirri Maz Duur thing's weird. I don't think she has any I don't think she's commissioned by Illyrio, just because
it's so random.
It seems like such a far-fetched shot. Dany saves her from being raped. You'd have to be able to predict that you would do that in order to place her there.
And it would be that person. She would be walking by that group of girls getting raped. I think it's a little bit.
And
I mean,
Khal
even
Drogo
to say
needs
that
to be hurt. Otherwise, Dany just saves her and never talks to her again.
Right. Even the fact of even if it's Marwyn, like it's the same problem.
She does talk to Dany in the common tongue after Dany saves her, though. Right. So like anyone who's like, if anybody is like trying to like argue and be like, oh no, like, she does call out to Dany. Okay. Yeah. But after Dany saves her. So I think maybe I'm wrong on that. But anyway, I think you're right. Dany's already on the path of saving people by then.
Is there any more to this theory?
No, I'm just like, I'm bringing it up because like, I'm sure
it's
like one of the hot topic things about this. Like the Mirri Maz Dor thing is weird, right? So I don't know any other theories about it besides this.
Well, she's going to die in another chapter. So,
well, yeah, but like, obviously it's a super weird part of this book where this like Kyle's right, it's out of nowhere. The super magic person just shows up, does some magic shit and dies within 3 chapters. Like what? It isn't tied to anyone. But the only connection she has to any other characters besides these people in this right here is she name drops Marwyn, who again we don't know a ton about, but is like,
and whose name isn't mentioned again till the last book.
Again, we don't ever see him till the last book, but he only gets the thing. So here's Marwyn, right? So in my notes, I have for each character, I have mentions and appearances. By the end of these 5 books for Marwyn, I think we're gonna have 2 or 3 mentions. One we've already had.
By the end of book 1,
end of book 5. One mention we've already had. I think Mirri Maz Dor. I think we only have one other mention and then one other appearance. The appearance is the epilogue of the 5th book, or is it the 4th book?
Right.
Might be the 4th book. And the other one is
that when Jaqen H'ghar kills the person at the bar?
Yeah, that's
like in the alley.
That's the prologue of that book, and the epilogue is when Sam shows up and meets Jaqen H'ghar is disguised as the person he killed, Pate, and Sam meets him. Yeah, and Marwyn. That's his appearance. And the only other mention is the guy who fixes Jaime's hand, who tries to help fix Jaime's hand, and Qyburn studied with Marwyn. Oh, also, I think
Qyburn
studied with Marwyn a little. Oberyn studied the Citadel. I don't know if he studied with Marwyn. Sorella, Oberyn's the Sorella people think is Alara Sand, definitely studied with Marwyn. She's in the Sam chapter at the end.
Okay.
So back to this chapter. Mirri Maz Dor, who is like this weird magic character who comes out of nowhere. The first real crazy magic we see in the entire book.
Is she a faceless person?
Is only connected to one other person, who is name dropped, Marwyn. Marwyn, who's also a super mysterious person, who's only named dropped a few other times by the weird Sand sister, who's also with a faceless person in Sam right now, where we are. And Qyburn, who's also a super mysterious person who definitely has some weird shit going on. So
all right, I'm going to say it here. Mirri Maz Dor is Jaqen H'ghar. She's a faceless person.
Ooh.
No,
it's a hot take.
Okay, so hold on. I'm not going to get into it, but that's definitely not true. Jaqen H'ghar is trying to steal a key. People think Jaqen H'ghar is trying to steal something from the Citadel. Steal a book. Like an ancient book. Which is why he's doing what he's doing.
People think or people know? Don't speculate. Don't speculate to me when I'm speculating back to you.
Okay, so I'm speculating that's what people think. But I know that Pate was the person that Jaqen kills in order to get the position he's in right now in the Citadel. Pate was like an assistant to a maester. So
I remember.
So if you're saying, you're claiming Mirri is Jaqen. First off, Mirri dies. So that
I just a faceless man.
He's joking.
Mirri's a faceless man. You're implying that somehow faceless men are in association with Marwyn, which isn't true because a faceless man has to sneak into the ranks to be in association with Marwyn.
Maybe the faceless men are doing their own deals with Dany. You don't know. Nobody fucking knows. Right, I'm speculating like you. She's
not a faceless man.
Nope, I'm keeping it.
I'm just saying there's weird fucking connections between weird ass people. Sorella Sand, like you have this weird tree of Marwyn. The only connections are Sam briefly, just now getting a connection. Jaqen H'ghar kind of briefly in connection via association. But really, Sorella Sand are the only Alaris, Sorella, I forget the real name and I forget the fake name. The Sand, Mirri Maz Dor, and Qyburn, which is a fucking weird cast of characters. So something has to be going on there.
Okay. I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing. So
Mirri Maz Dor seems, I don't know. Like, I feel like if by the end of these books, that isn't tied up, like how that relationship, like how these characters are related.
I don't think we'll ever hear unless she comes back into the flesh and she's actually alive, you're never gonna hear from Mir Mazdur.
We have to know. I feel like we have to because of the weird glow. Come on, what do you think?
I mean, I'm thinking. So she was taught by a blood mage from the Shadowlands, Mir Mazdur. That could be Quaithe.
Sure. And
Quaithe might have a connection to what's his name? Marwyn.
I don't rule that out.
And maybe Quaithe.
I think you're making this tree bigger than it has to be, though.
No, all I'm saying is Quaithe will give us some more information later on down the line to Dany when she speaks to her. Like, I had Mir Mazdur set this in motion as I was working with, and then we find out Quaithe works with Marwyn. I'm not saying Mir Mazdur comes back to life or talks or anything. I'm saying somebody else gives information that they sent
exactly.
Mir Mazdur.
I'm saying that, so little in this book seems to just be, eagles showing up to carry somebody away. You know what I mean? Deus Ex Machina. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So little in this book seems to be that. Everything seems to be meticulously planned. The Jon Arryn death, which is oh, what? How'd that happen? It's planned. You find out about it.
But that's the major catalyst of the show.
So what? It's just a crazy coincidence that there's this crazy magical person in this random tiny ass village that is so vulnerable that 2 Dothraki hordes are attacking it at the same time. What the fuck is she doing there? What are you talking about? That can't be a coincidence. And the fact that she's related to these weird characters tells me that she's placed there. She had to have been.
I agreed with you. I don't think it's a crazy coincidence. I just don't know if she's enough to other than saying oh yeah, Mir Mazdur was Marwyn's gonna have to be in front of Dany. Who's gonna bring up Mir Mazdur except Dany?
I don't know, and I'm half fighting with myself because again, it goes back to if you place her there, how do you know Dany? She's gonna get any chance to have FaceTime with Dany? It's so hard to predict that based on the situation she was in, but her connections to other people make me believe that she has to have been. It's I'm so torn between it.
And even with that, she's got to be at the right spot, getting right by the right person for Dany to notice her. Now Dany, fast forward, has to be in front of Marwyn or Sam talking about Mir Mazdur.
Marwyn,
oh no, wait, this guy was talking.
Marwyn leaves to go find Dany, and he takes Aemon's body, which I don't know why he does that, but he does that. So who knows what the fuck's going to happen?
Right. We don't know. We have no idea.
I can't wait for this next book. I'll tell you that.
Move on to the problem is you're going to be left with even more questions unanswered at the next one.
I'm just hoping that there's a bunch of answers and then new questions, you know? I don't want the same questions anymore. I want answers and then new questions.
You're definitely going to, some of the questions we have definitely aren't going to be answered. What do you think they meant by Rhaegar died by the woman he loved? Rhaegar died for the woman he loved.
I mean, she's obviously thinking Elia, right? And it's just the farthest thing from the truth.
Also, how about that 30? I definitely that was so funny. Viewers definitely didn't hear it in the earlier part, but I'll edit it in right here. It's long. When I point out this quote, thinking Kyle would say something about it because he brought up Rhaegar in the last Dany chapter. But immediately, Kyle started reading the next part of the book in order to start talking in the podcast, to know what we were about to talk about. He was skimming to see what was going to come next. But Glow, Jeff and I, no one wanted to say anything because I had just brought up Rhaegar in a Dany chapter. So we're all just waiting. So there's a 30-second silence, and I just end up.
You definitely can't just delete it. You got to put it in there.
I can't leave that in the normal section, or else it brings attention to. If there's anybody who actually isn't spoiled, I'll put it out. I'll cut it in right here.
It is. I think she cares more about her kid than this at this point, which is weird to me.
And there's another quote there that Rhaegar dies for the woman he loved.
Yes.
Everybody's ready.
All right, your next note. What the fuck?
My next note says Miri say no, not her.
Yeah,
and I don't know
what
that says.
It's not Khaleesi.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
Doesn't have to kill herself.
It's not Khaleesi's life.
Khaleesi doesn't need to kill herself.
Hang on. She didn't actually say she would kill herself. No. So Dany, what are you laughing about?
Nobody
said anything for 30 seconds because I had no idea what this fucking note meant.
Well, we're all reading. So So hang on. Back it up. Rewind a little bit. So
if somebody's listening to the not spoiled section, it's because they haven't read. Kyle might not have caught that because he was actually trying to read ahead.
Do something.
And he thought we were trying to read ahead too.
Right.
Anybody
Kyle
who's
thought that we
listening
were lost in like what came next. And really it's just me looking at Nelson with this fucking shit-eating grin on his face.
But if anybody who's actually listening to a podcast hears just 30 seconds of silence, they're going to be like, what the fuck was that?
That was definitely the biggest spoiler drop. Way worse than whatever me and Glow have ever said. Is Nelson just like dropping that, Rhaegar died for the woman he loved.
I said like, yep. And then we're waiting.
So going back to that though, like what is Dany talking about? Like, why does Dany think that? Doesn't Dany think that Rhaegar raped Lyanna? Like everyone thinks that, even Dany, right?
I don't think
I don't know
Dany
that
thinks
story got told to Dany.
I don't think Viserys would have said, yeah, our brother raped.
But he wouldn't have said that like he ran away with her and they were in love. Like, how would Viserys?
Well, it doesn't even really make sense. The war wasn't even really about Ella Martell or
Exactly. So he can't be thinking Elia.
So somebody has to know.
What is that about? So what is that quote about? It makes no sense to me.
Illyria must have told her like, oh yeah, Rhaegar died for the woman he left. I don't know. Someone had to tell her.
Illyria probably wouldn't even know that. Everyone fucking thinks he raped her.
You don't think Varys knows
Everyone thinks he raped her.
Varys knows.
No, because then that implies Varys knows about Jon. And implying that
Maybe
he knows he loved
Jon.
her implies you know about Jon. I don't think it's... You guys don't know.
I thought it wasn't Jon.
You guys... No, I don't think it's Jon. But anything that you're claiming would imply that these people know about Jon, which no one knows about Jon.
All right, so maybe I'm on your side for this moment in time. Maybe it's Dany.
And Illyria and Varys do know that about this, and have told
Dany is Lyanna's child.
Is this the biggest? Is this the biggest proof I've ever found from my side that just swayed Jeff? The fact that Dany thinks Rhaegar died for the woman he loves means that somebody would have had to know that
and tell her
which
that.
Which means somebody knows about the baby. So somebody knows about the baby and talked to Dany.
I don't know, man. That's someone's painting.
I think
whoever told her the story, aka Viserys, would have painted this story in a better light, saying like, yeah, he died and he raped this woman. No, he fell in love with this woman and he died fighting for her. Instead of saying, yeah, our brother raped this woman. And at the same time, Viserys was 9 at the time, so he doesn't really know the story either.
This is the thing where, like, I've read this book so many times, but the show is poisoning my brain right now because all I can think about is Dany and Jon in season 8 in the crypts when Jon tells Dany the truth and Dany Jon's standing in front of the statue. You guys remember this? Jon's standing in front of Lyanna's statue, right? In front of Lyanna's statue. Lyanna. And Dany comes up and she's like, "Oh, who's this?" And he's like, "Oh, it's my aunt." And Dany says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know how my brother could do that." Like she literally apologizes. And this is in the show. And so that interaction never happened in the books. But it makes me believe, but it makes me believe that Dany thinks Rhaegar was a bad guy. Or Rhaegar raped her.
Well, yeah, it doesn't mean, like, just from this word doesn't mean that she thinks that it's Lyanna Stark. She might still think it's Elia Martell.
Elia Martell doesn't make any sense.
But we just know that the fight wasn't about Elia and that he gave the rose to Lyanna.
The fight was literally about a woman that Rhaegar kidnapped and raped, is what the thought is to everyone. That's what this war is about. So
Robert started the war because they took Lyanna.
I mean, part of it's the Starks dying, right? There's like but the Starks died because of Lyanna being taken.
But I would say this is way more in your favor than
it just doesn't make sense why Dany would know.
Ned thinks about her type shit.
It just doesn't make sense why Dany would say that or think that.
I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense to me. Yes, it does. The stories that she's heard would paint the Targaryens in a better light. So whoever said that he raped her, it would be for the woman he loved, not the woman he raped. This war.
But she's not thinking of Lyanna. She can't be.
Glow's claiming she is thinking about. Dany knows
some woman,
that this war is all about a woman. Dany
not
knows
Elia,
that
not his wife, who she's brought up multiple times, and the kids.
But if the fact that she knows he dies for a woman means that she knows the war was over this woman.
Yeah, and she hasn't dealt with many Westerosi people besides Illyrio and fucking Viserys.
Okay, so what is your claim that she thinks about this?
It's some woman, and Targaryens were polygamous before, so maybe he fell in love with another woman.
Okay, I'm cool with that. But why is there a war about it? There has to be something wrong about the marriage that started the war. Sure, if the polygamy is fine, that's cool. But something about this was not cool. If it's not kidnapping, if it's not the polygamy, what? Is it just that she was betrothed to Robert, and that's why?
I mean, she's 14 years old. How many 14-year-old girls really care about war and dive into the reasons behind it?
Dany is cleverer than most 14-year-old girls. The only thing I could buy it that you're saying is if the only reason she thinks this war happened is because there was a woman who was betrothed to Robert, who Rhaegar wanted to marry instead, and claimed her because he was royalty, and he had the right to do that because he was royalty, and they just got mad about it because she was already betrothed, and that's what the war's about. And basically, Rhaegar was in the right, there in the wrong. And if you believe that Dany got fed that story and hasn't been told otherwise by anybody, including Jorah, who she's been alone with, I think you're crazy. She
probably doesn't know the name Robert. She probably just knows usurper.
She knows Robert the Usurper. You're crazy. She definitely knows Robert the Usurper. But that's my point. Is it's a weird quote for sure, and maybe it was a lapse in judgment on George's part, but I don't think he makes those. So there was one more thing I want to say, but I can't remember what it is right now. So a lot of kills for the frag count. I'll have to add them up. Aegon gets another one with Kalopo. A couple other Blood Riders dead. Jorah gets one.
Jehoko is a badass dude, right? He stays with Dany for a little bit.
So the other thing is, one of these, I think it's Mono, who actually isn't a co, but becomes a co when all this shit goes down, takes Iroha, the rape victim.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Dany vows that like she'll have revenge. Like she makes some vow on him. And George has said in interviews, like a bunch of times, like multiple times, like people are like, when's Dany going to go back to Westeros? And he's like, well, Dany has a lot more she has to take care of in Essos. Like she has a whole lot going on Marine. She has his vow to take care of Cal Mono because of what he did to Aroa. Like, well, this is something that he's going to tie up before this is over. Like, what's about to happen here in this next chapter? So, like, pay attention to these next chapter or two.
Okay. She's going to go burn down Vaes Dothrak or...
Well, where we left her, right, is she's with Drogon and a Khalasar. And a problem, and one of the Cal, I think who the Khalasar.
That's what happened, like when they surround her type scene.
Yeah.
She's burning that fucking place to the ground.
Well,
that's a
given.
given.
It's the first time these people have seen her with a dragon, and like Dothraki respect like riders, and Dany's riding a dragon. So there's a chance, like a lot of people think that they're just gonna respect Dany, and they're gonna be like, "You're the fucking bitch." Just right off the bat, because like basically you have the most badass horse.
You have the best horse.
Yeah, exactly.
She might still burn that fucker to the ground.
Because in the show when they find her, she doesn't have. She had left her dragon, but in the books when they find her, she's with Drogon.
Isn't Drogon like sleeping though? Like he's not even like
he's not listening to her.
Eating or
he
something.
Won't listen to her, but she's got him, and I don't think he would let anything happen to her. So
yeah.
Kyle said he said a few weird things about Dany knowing that it was the kid. She's like, it should have been Dany's kid. Does he think it is Dany's kid, right? Like when she says only death can pay for life, she's talking about Miri's talking about the kid. We didn't talk about this. Miri is 100% talking about the kid, right?
That's why she goes into labor, right?
That's why Dany goes into labor and all this bad shit happens. I mean, the bad shit with her baby happens. I mean, that's the way I took it. Did you guys not take it that way?
I'm with you. I'm with you there.
I can see that,
because and also when Kyle said, like, the other thing, he said magic better be rare. And I don't know if magic's necessarily rare. Again, it becomes more prevalent once dragons are born.
A lot of it's illusions and shit. Like
a lot of the magic, you're right, is fake illusions. We hear about that from the few Melisandre chapters we get, that she admits that a lot of her magic is fake, but she does have some magic.
Like the shadow babies.
Exactly, but we hear that all magic does cost something. Like you don't get anything for free.
Right, like the Shadow Baby drained Stannis of power.
I think someone describes it, and this might be a show only quote. That it describes it as a sword with no hilt. There's no safe way to grasp it. Sorcery is like a sword with no hilt. There's no safe way to grasp it. Right. So like the only death can pay for life thing is like a really important quote, and it kind of applies to all magic.
It feeds everything with like Stannis trying to get Gendry, right?
Exactly. Everything is like there's some sacrifice. You don't get any magic for free. So that's kind of like setting the stage for this. What was the other thing I just touched on that I didn't want to lose? Oh, yeah. So Kyle mentioned that he thought the death Dany should have had to pay for Drogo's life should have been her baby.
Was the kid.
So Kyle thinks Drogo's going to be fine. I don't know if you caught that. He said he thinks Drogo's going to be fine and they're just going to be on the...
And we've mentioned this early on when he was like, oh, I know Dany lives.
It's really weird. When he said, I know Drogo's
he never
dead.
mentioned Drogo's
Well, he said,
future.
I know Drogo's going to die because he's not in the last season. And I said, well, the baby's not in the last season either. And he's like, wait, do you mean the baby dies? And you guys, and Glow was like, spoiler. And I was like, it's not a spoiler until you say a spoiler, because I could have just been saying Drogo and the baby could go off one way and Dany could go another way, was kind of what I was implying. But it seems like Kyle totally forgot that and is currently thinking that Drogo is going to live at least through this encounter, and he completely laughs on what's going to happen to the baby, which is like kind of the immediate concern at the end of the chapter, which is why I'm weird he didn't make any.
I mean, the baby dies before Drogo, right?
But the thing is, Dany 100% realizes in this chapter that the baby is, and I read the quote on purpose to try and make Kyle realize it. I don't know if you guys caught it. Dany knows as soon as she starts going into labor, she thinks the price was too high. The price was too high. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
I didn't.
I didn't catch that though. I did I didn't put two and two together at that point. But now that you
one
say
of her
it, that makes
Kaz
sense.
died
So
too.
this is
Kaz died. Jorah
no, her
injured.
Kaz had just killed somebody. Rikara was fighting with Hago. Rikara is her Ka, and so is Jogo. Jogo and Rikara are Dany's Kaz, and Hago is the Blood Rider. Rikara was fighting with Hago, a rock dancing with a rock until Jogo's whip cracked, loud as thunder, the lash coiled in around Hago's throat. A yank, and the Blood Rider stumbled backwards, losing his feet and his sword. Rikara sprang forward, howling, swinging his rock down with both hands through the top of Hago's head, the point caught between his eyes, red and quivering. Someone threw a stone, and when Dany looked, her shoulder was torn and bloody. "No," she wept. "No, please, stop it. It's too high. The price is too high." More stones came flying. She tried to call towards the tent, but Kaloho caught her. Fingers in her hair, he pulled her head back and felt the cold touch of a knife at her throat. When she says that, she 100% realized what was actually happening.
You think she knew?
At that point, I think she did.
She knew. And Kyle, I still think, doesn't know.
But, see, this is like the only thing I would say.
I think Kyle doesn't realize the baby's going to die. I think he thinks it's... I think he didn't even mention it in his prediction because he's taking it for granted it's going to live.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there. But I don't know. Like, Dany at this point is looking at Drogo possibly dying with blood magic going on. Her own Khalasar is throwing rocks at her now. The Kaz and the Blood Riders are fighting. Like, that all in itself is the price. I don't know. Like, her Khalasar has turned on her. They're throwing rocks at her.
I guess how you
like
could
that
see
is.
it.
I think that's kind of the price.
You
that
saw
she's
it that
paying.
way, though? Like, even
That's
now
how
that
I
we read
initially
it,
saw it, but now that we're looking back on it, I feel like what you're saying is right.
That's how I initially thought it. Like, everything's crumbling because I tried to save Drogo.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. But like when you look at it, I think you have to realize that I think you have to see that she's realizing that it's that she signed up for more than she asked for. And I think I'm not going to bet on this because I don't remember. It's been a while since I read this, but I'm pretty sure in the next chapter she even says like, Miri says something like, "You knew the price." Dany's like, "You didn't tell me the price," and Miri was like, "You knew the price the whole time," or something like that. And Dany thinks to herself that she does. I'm pretty sure that happens in the next chapter.
Miri doesn't say anything that you know. So you knew what I was buying, and you knew the price, and you let me pay it. It was wrong of them to burn my people, was what Miri Mazdor said.
Which is weird to your point.
Sure? The stallion who mounts the world will burn no cities now. His Khalasar shall trample no nations into dust. I spoke for you. I saved you. Saved me. Then she goes on saying, like, you fucked over.
I've been raped already.
Tell me what you saved, your life. Look to your cow and see what life is worth when all the rest
That's
is
such
gone.
a fucking good, dude. The next chapter is so fucking good. Miri Mazdor just literally drops bombs on you.
Which is kind of like to the point now, like maybe she was just actually, and we'll obviously get into it when we actually read it. Maybe she was actually just a land person fighting for
fighting
fuck
for her
you,
people.
Like your son's not gonna do what your husband just did to my people. Maybe it's not as deep.
Again, I think it's like I don't know how it goes. What's first degree versus third degree murder? Like one is like really premeditated, and one is kind of like you thought about it within the past 5 minutes.
I think that's second degree.
I think Miramau's door, like when she came into the tent and they're like, yo, maybe not even then. It's literally when Dany was like, yo, do some black magic shit. Miri was like, I can kill the stallion who knocks the world who might fuck up a bunch of people. I'm going to go for it. It might have been at that point that she made that decision. You know what I mean? Who knows?
Yeah, but I think she premeditated killing Drogo.
Even back at the fucking Landman hut?
Yeah, why was she safe?
Because like she's literally just like an immediate joy that she was safe from being raped. She's like, oh my god, thank you. Yeah, I'll return the favor.
It was fake. It was fake joy. We just Glow just read that it was fake joy.
That was for the spell. That wasn't for the healing.
Right. No, I get it, but like she doesn't give a fuck.
It's a crime of opportunity at that point. At this point, this chapter.
Whatever.
Either way, we're going on too long.
Wait, I got one more thing that I wanted to talk about that you cut me off for. Everybody disperses after this, right?
A lot of them.
Everyone that's against Dany is not here when she comes out of the tent.
They're not here, but they're in the vicinity. Fights go on. Like there's about to be some shit go down.
But she's not in like immediate danger. Nobody attacks her.
No, because she's worth nothing now. Her baby's already out and dead. What is she?
But why doesn't the new Cal just want to kill her?
There's no new cows. What ends up happening is a lot of the cows split off. They fight for a little bit, but I think they split off and they don't end up fighting to the death. They split off into smaller Calazars. Like 4 Calazars come of this.
So they were more worried about their fights than Dany at that point.
Dany's worth nothing.
Yeah, she's nothing.
But they don't even know her baby's dead.
I think they do.
I mean, everyone found out that Drogo fell off his horse.
It within 10 minutes, everyone definitely hears it.
But everybody's already leaving. Everybody's already leaving at this point when she goes into the tent.
Fighters. I mean, I don't know. We don't know.
That. We're speculating.
We'll find out next chapter, but not at this point. Not the fighters.
Jeff, by dispersing, like some people are saddling up and leaving. Some of them are going back to their huts. Some of them are going back to their fire pits.
Also, even like Jorah's theory about like, oh, these codes are gonna fight and then one's gonna take charge of this Calazar wasn't really accurate. He's right that they're gonna fight, but they don't end up taking control of Calazar. They disperse. When they disperse, that makes Dany's baby not even important either. Because yeah, sure, Dany's baby might have the genes to grow up and be a badass.
There's like 9 other people fighting for the Calazar. But there's
no one there with it. Exactly. She's literally alone with like a fucking vegetable husband, Jorah, and Miri.
And 2 Kaz.
And yeah, a couple, yeah, exactly. A couple guys. So that might also be why they just don't give a fuck. Like she's nothing now. Like, even with the baby, she's nothing because he's not going to be important for a long time. And unless there's like a group of people who are going to unite behind him, which there aren't at this point. So. But yeah, good chapter. Gone long. Gonna be a long to edit. But we'll see you guys in the next one with Arya. It's definitely one of the biggest ones of the book. And we'll be done here in the next couple of weeks.
Almost there.
We gotta try and power through.
I'm good to do a bunch in a week if I can get notes done for all of them.
No, you're not. You don't even have your homework done for this week.
I don't have any assignments to this week to do.
Logging off. See you guys.
See you guys.